just came back from watching the Supergirl movie. Man, okay, so I'm gonna just start off with the things I liked about the movie. Supergirl, the actress Supergirl, great, great. Like I really liked like the whole, because with Supergirl in most media, she comes off as like a little bit like a rebellious teenage character, or a bit of a standoffish person to obviously her cousin and whatnot. She wants to do her own thing, try and find her own home and things of that nature. So throughout this movie, you hear that aspect about the character, that it would be talked about for a good amount of the movie, and um leaving the movie, she's still kind of on that journey, but she found that as she would continue the journey, you're going to meet others within the solar system, the galaxy, within your universe, that are cool people that you end up clicking with, because she just didn't find anyone that she clicked with, really, so. And who she clicked with was the girl that was the person that she had to look after in the movie. I cannot remember her name, and I wish that was in sarcasm to the amount of times that the character herself had constantly said it. Like, it almost came off as like a like Elder Scrolls NPC. Hey, I am this person. This sword was, like, which I think kind of goes into the opposite of what the beginning of this is supposed to be, just talking about the strengths. Lobo, Jason Momoa as Lobo in the DC universe, with James Gunn's DC universe, a really good fit for the time that he was in. I enjoyed it. I just wish he was in there for a little bit longer, man. That would kind of go into the opposite side of of what I would have preferred, or what I would have wanted instead of others. But one of if you're going to watch this movie, I would say 40x. Please watch in a 40x. I don't want to come off harsh when I say this, because of with my experience with it. I think I'm glad I watched it in 40x, because I enjoyed the actions bits within 40x, but with how the pacing was for me, I think when you got the action scenes, when it kind of won you back over. It definitely won me back over whenever the action happened. Yes, definitely do 40x. For me, we had where my glasses. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do the Clark Kent, do Clark Kent disguise, but we had 3D 40x auditorium of an experience, which was crazy. The only other time, the first time I was in a 40x theater, this is my second time going to a 40x theater, by the way. But the first time was Mortal Kombat. They didn't have 3D glasses, but even then, like, I never experienced a movie with air hitting you, like, at the back of your head, in front of you, water behind you, in front of you, your chair moving, wobbling like crazy. I never experienced that, and I gotta say, which we're still in the strengths of how I feel about this movie, with it in 40x, with the 3D, this was like the most enhanced, like, experience you could ever get. Literally 3D, so you were visually immersed, and then with how things are being shifted under your seat, with the air, water synchronized to what's happening. Like, it almost felt like it was a deep dive into the movie of dang near felt like you're there. You know what I mean? Like in one of the Nintendo Wii Mario games, where one of your characters are in a bubble, and then your friend is still alive, and you're just moving with them. Basically, it kind of felt like that. But speaking of which, this was the best 40x experience I had in a superhero film when it comes to action so far. With the beginning scene in space in Supergirl flying, oh my gosh, that's what got me. That of you swaying back and forth, just and with the camera angles, I was like, yo, what the heck? Whenever the action scenes were happening, man, I was there. Like it got my attention. It brought my attention back to the movie. Yes. The only thing I would say, um, uh, to lean more into the weaknesses or just my gripes of the movie, I think for me personally, the pacing wasn't how I wish it could have been. I think this movie, going into it, I wanted to like this more than Superman, because when we were watching the trailers for Supergirl, you're in outer space, you're causing chaos, you're fighting. That's the James Gunn bread and freaking butter. What? But actually, let me also fact check myself, because I was hearing discourse online, and I did hear something about James Gunn correcting a few fans online about who was behind this movie. Um, who was ahead of directing the Supergirl movie of 2026? I'm pretty sure it wasn't James Gunn. I think it was someone else. Josh. Yeah, Josh. Okay, okay, got you. Directed the A24 sports drama Mario Supreme. Stars Timothy Chalamet. Okay, got you. Okay, cool. Man, um, yeah, I think I should have done a bit more homework on that. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, I don't know. Just within the James Gunn DC universe, with being in space, and like the action was done so much better in this versus Superman, in my opinion. But man, the pacing just wasn't for me, man. Now, I'm all about you are trying to isolate us into this character going through this journey of trying to save someone, trying to, fight whoever they have to fight, probably take out whoever they got to take out for the sake of their dog. There's one other franchise that, hey, the John Wick, and even people, that watched the movie, I saw on Instagram, people were comparing Supergirl to John Wick. I was like, huh, okay, and I already knew, like, Crypto was basically more so Supergirl's dog than Superman's dog, really, or at least in this version of the DC universe. So I was like, okay. So I guess, in this movie they had like a lot of bonding. But now watching the movie, I completely understand it. I really wish they kind of just should have just really leaned more into that, like as more the centerpiece than anything else. Like, my main connection to this world is me in is me with Crypto. You know what I mean? That's my connection. That was the person that got me through dark times from, the Krypton, when they show us the images of the scenes of Krypton, when she crash landed on Earth. They showed like a cute scene of Crypto just getting up in your face or whatever. But as far as, I think, when the flashbacks happen, especially during the middle parts of the movie where you are going slower pace, which is fine, right? Because if you're going in a slower pace, you're taking your time. You had already grabbed our attention, because that's the thing. The movie already grabbed our attention with the beginning. The beginning of the movie, I think, with the pacing, everything, action, great, right? I that's how I like This is how I look at it. So I think later on, once when Crypto got sick because the guy shot the little tranquilizer at him, it was now okay, gotta hunt this guy down, so they were following different leads, and eventually they're on the planet. Lobo's there. Yo, what's up? A little bit of the adventure. The pacing good so far. I want to say it probably got to the point, and this is where we now go into more spoiler worthy stuff in 3, 2, 1. I think all the stuff from a little bit before, when Supergirl showed up on the planet that was like green to yellow, all the way to when we got to those scenes where she was on the planet of green and yellow, of like the sun. That's when things for me really started to feel weird. I think, was that within the time that she, yeah, okay, so the two flashbacks that I'm thinking about also happened around that time, where they did a flashback about Krypton, about it being destroyed, about a little bit more backstory on that. Apparently not all of the planet actually got destroyed, that some of it was actually still there for a little while, and apparently she got to live a little bit longer while, just chilling before, she was sent. They didn't even talk about the freaking Phantom Zone either. What was that about? Yeah, like, because the logistics of the flashback itself definitely different than like the usual, right? That's fine. But while I was just kind of going through the scene, I'm like, there's some differences here, okay, but cool. It was just the timing of which we're putting that flashback in. What does any of this have to do with what's happening right now? When the flashbacks of that nature was happening, it was like, why? The one flashback that I was like, okay, cool, fair. When she's obviously thinking about her dog Crypto, because when she got to the planet where it was the green and yellow sun, when she had the green sun emitting onto her, she was getting weaker and weaker, and she was laying down and slowly dying, and they did a little bit of a back and forth kind of sort of visuals of as that relates to Crypto in that same situation, because the tranquilizer that was given to him, he was poisoned, so the whole thing was about finding the cure. But the cure, the only person that has it is the guy that has the stuff in the first place. And then their reasoning for, we can't just fly immediately to the sun, is because they were saying if he's moved, his condition would get worse. Now, I know for the sake of having a movie, that's the stakes. In my mind, I'm like, I feel like we could really just fly him straight to, yeah, but no, we can't. Then the movie will be intimidating, so I can't really land there, and that's just something a lot of superhero movies have, where it's like, the character could easily, but the second flashback scene during that part of the film, where prior to the actual green and yellow planet, they were on another planet where they were hunting down the guy responsible for hurting Crypto. He had a whole brigade. They met this family, this wife and husband, brought in Kara, and brought in someone that wanted revenge as well on the person that hurt Crypto, but it's for a different reason. It's because apparently something went down that her. And this was more so in the beginning of the movie too, where the guy basically killed her own family. So she wanted revenge, and Kara wanted revenge, but for different reasons. But Kara, throughout the movie, she was the guardian of this girl, and these two, they had like a bond, and that was kind of became more so the centerpiece of the movie more than Kara and Crypto. It was kind of weird to me how in certain moments that took a bit of a backseat. But so from those scenes on, and then apparently the wife and husband that took Kara and the girl in, they betrayed them, because basically they had a daughter that got snatched up by those same bad people, and they made a trade of the girl that Kara was protecting, and also in herself, for their daughter. So 1-for-2 deal. Now, as to why the the girl that Kara is I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, but like because they said her name so many different times, but it was like the same, like she was a rookie record to me of like saying the same thing over and over. Like it was the same line basically. Said to the girl twice. It's like, whatever, right? Because they're just kind of establishing that's a bit of the gimmick. Cool. Then to Lobo, I'm like, why are you trying Lobo? Because Lobo, when they were in the bar, when he was there, Car was like, yo, I'm not gonna lie to you, don't mess with him. My gripes, I think that her character, yeah, because Car told her, yo, Lobo, don't play with him. Look, he's like that. And mind you, this is within the context of the girl has seen Kara easily, casually take out a lot of people. She knows that Kara's very powerful, right? So honestly, to me, if I'm hearing Kara being like, yo, don't even go to, it's all good. But blessing in disguise, because I think that brought us more info, I think, pointing us in a better direction, right? But this was a pattern of multiple times, and also it was very repetitive with, like, so many times SuperGirl kept being like, oh, stay here, right after they, action sequence happens, she moves the girl out the way. Prior to that, she had already told the girl, hey, stay here, don't be going over here. She fights, she goes, Kara goes off on her own, she's fighting, the 40X. It's like, yeah, okay, right? But then the girl ends up getting in harm's way for literally no reason. Is one thing, if you're not gonna listen, all right, cool, right? You're gonna end up making that mistake. Supergirl, she ends up saving you or whatnot. Eventually, you might get some hits in or whatever. She never does. She never. It was the same thing, repeat and repeat. I'm like, okay, at this point, and that's all we're gonna have her character do. We gotta get her out of the constant back and forth of stay here. Literally, don't listen. It would kind of make everything worse for it. And that's what led to us even having the final act of the movie, in my opinion, because there was a moment when they were on this planet, the planet before they got to the planet that had the yellow and green sun. The main villain was going after the kid. It was the kid of the husband and wife that brought Kara and the girl in earlier in the movie, because they betrayed her. They betrayed Kara and the girl as exchange for the daughter, right? Things didn't go that way. Supergirl's like, nah, let me fight. So when I was talking about the action scenes, now the villain was like, oh yeah, deal's off. I'm taking out the daughter. So Supergirl sees it, and it's two birds, one stone. Like, oh, I can save the girl, and then also I can attack you, and then also you yourself, you have the cure. Because earlier in the movie, when they had their scuffles, he knows he has the cure. Perfect situation, perfect position. She's going in super speed. I'm like, oh, we about to roll credits. Let's go. The girl that's been with Kara the whole movie, as she has constantly kept saying, stay here or run away. She goes over there, and then in a split second, she had to switch her trajectory and grabbing her out the way. And I think she got to save the kid. But then the guy got away, beamed up onto the next planet. And I think the reason why it was getting frustrating was because of the argument that the girl in Kara had afterwards. She's like, you don't get to be mad. What are you mad at me for? I'm justified. What you mean? I don't see the justifications. Because my thing is, if you're not gonna listen or whatever, you're gonna make certain mistakes. Like those specific characters in a lot of super movies, yeah, they're gonna make a lot of mistakes, but then you end up making up for it, right? I don't think that happened. I don't remember any of that. Of making any of that right, honestly, because the moment I thought in the movie where the character, because here's the thing, the reason why I'm like a little bit more focused on this, and that's like a big chunk of the dialogue. Here's why: because the movie really got to a point where it was kind of sort of 60% Supergirl, 40% of the girl. Once we got on the planet where the sun was now going into the green sun and the green hue, basically saying to imply that it's like kryptonite or whatever. Side note, kryptonite's a very rare stone, Bruce. It's not not at all. like anywhere that's outside of Earth, oh, it's all over here. You know, and it makes sense because we're in outer space, we're in different parts of the solar systems and whatnot. So you know, okay, fair. But yeah, the main villain also had kryptonite arrows on the radio. I'm like, you had time to. All right, cool. But you know, rare stone, super rare stone. But yeah, we were in the planet where it had the green yellow sun. At this moment in time, I thought, okay, the girl that's been accompanying Kara all this time, here's the redemption. Here's the, okay, now you're gonna, because like they've been giving her so many lobs of like, hey, go ahead, dunk the ball, and then we turn to Ben Simmons to pass. Like, what? Why? So now I'm thinking, now that she's weakened, she's going to, you know, help get Kara's strength back and whatnot. The first attempt of doing so, you instantly get snatched up. Come on, man. Now, she's in the prison. Lobo's there. Yes. But then, I'm not gonna lie, before you got to figure out how that whole scene ended, or at least for me in my mind, I'm thinking, why are you in prison? Are they saying you weak in this movie? No shot. He's not weak. He's very strong. And they kept it. It was because he allowed himself to get captured because, you know, he's a bounty hunter. He's going for the head honcho villain. That's the angle. But he was encouraging girl like, hey man, you know, fight this guy that eventually came in, and she decided to fight the guy because, you know, it was kind of like a do or die moment because they were like, yo, we execute you. So the girl was like, nah, can't have that. So, you know, she put up a fight and she took the keys off the guy, and Lobo's like, hey, I helped you out, bro. You gonna take me out the locks? Bro pushed the door open. I'm like, okay, cool. He knew. I'm like, all right. I was kind of just waiting on it, basically. I was like waiting on it. I'm like, you know? But yeah. So later on in the movie, you basically got the action bits. Now they did a whole sequence of the girl in the vents looking for the sword that her parents made, or that her father made, I believe. It holds a lot of sentimental value to her, so that's why she's not trying to, you know, lose the sword. But at the same time, I'm like, in the beginning of the movie, you said for anyone that would help you, you would be okay with giving them the sword. So you were kind of already willing for the sword to be gone, out of your grasp already. So it's kind of like but it's like, obviously, I think in reality she didn't really want to, because like, yo, that's like the only thing you have left, a memory of your parents. Ooh, I want to actually add on to something there, because she mentioned she has other family members. I thought it was on some Sasuke, like, oh, I have no one left, but she mentioned an auntie later on, and now that I think about that, I'm like, so why are you so hung up about this sword? What the? But memory of the dad though, so I get that. So she went through her whole expedition of getting the sword. So I thought she was like trying to like slowly but surely, like, okay, she's on like this secret undercover mission. She's gonna fight this army or whatever. I'm like, okay, hold on. I think she instantly got found out. I think no. Yeah, she did once she got on the rooftop. But then Car saves the day. I'm like, let's go. let's go, because the planet went from the green hue of the sunlight to the yellow hue. Good to go. She's doing her thing. Lobo is back in the mix of things, causing chaos, collecting the bounty. Or no, he didn't collect the bounty because he had a heart to heart with the girl about why she's in this fight, because of revenge, and she wanted to get back on the villain. So Lobo actually respected that. He was like, you know what, I feel you. So he was telling Kara, hey, this one's for her. At some point, the girl and the main villain were on like this rope. They were like dangling in the air. The ship comes crashing down, but the whole action sequence of Supergirl like swooping past really fast bars, just taking everybody out. You know what I mean? It was a lot of fun with that, and eventually, I think after a lot more other cool visuals of her taking out like a lot of the different goons, the girl finds herself with the sword again. The main villain's right there. She's about to take the villain out. Now, Supergirl, this is actually the second time in the movie where she's like, stop, you can't kill this person. Like, you can't kill this person. And talking about why. So for me, it took me a sec to figure out the angle she was coming at it from. She's coming at the angle of, she sees this girl as someone that is a bit detached from having blood on her hands. Like, she can be better, she can do better, because Kara had a conversation with her earlier in the movie about just her life, her like of Kara's personal life, of just what she went through, right? And basically she saw and when the girl asks Kara about Superman, like, is he rude too, and all things of that nature, she talked about how she differs from Clark. Also, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that later on, about her saying just Clark and just the whole thing through and through. I don't know. I'm gonna get through that later, but no, flashback, she did call him Kal-El, but it's just weird because she would always just call him Kal-El usually. I don't know. It's just interesting. Unless off screen he was like, yo, call me Clark, then whatever. But she was just talk her down off the ledge of killing someone and whatnot. And at first I was like, hold on, Kara is like now super zen and she's not gonna do anything. That was my thought process at first, but she grabbed the sword when the girl was looking to, like, yo, this for crypto, this for you know what I mean? Because like with the trafficking that dude was on and all the stuff he was on, like, you're not gonna like Kara, really? That's why in my mind I was like, when she was talking the other girl down, I thought of how she was saying it. She was saying as far as herself to probably not like get back on the guy. It seemed that way to me at first, but no, she just sent it to talk the girl off the ledge. And as far as their bond, I'm like, I understand why they were like the focal point. But the thing is, when those things happen, it just didn't. I just wasn't as like, because in those scenes you're supposed to care about the characters, the chemistry between them two. I care about the Kara character 1,000%, but with this other character, I'm just like, I don't know you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know you. And you didn't really do much. So that's why I'm just like. How's everyone? My SuperGirl here. And then from other moments of the constant of Kara being like, yo, stay here, dude. What are you doing? Stay here, let me work. She constantly kept like messing things up. And I know that those are character archetypes of superhero stories where you do have those characters in there, but this one I feel like it got played up too hard personally, where now it's like you kept getting in Kara's way. She had it. Like, you you ask for her help. Let her help you, right? Like, let her help you. I don't know. But ultimately, things were taken care of. And they're gonna part ways, but Kara didn't get to celebrate her birthday. And during different moments of the movie when um Clark like called her a good amount of times throughout the movie, it was because that whole week during the movie it was her birthday week. But yeah, this story is supposed to be about, Kara just trying to find her place out here, and there was things in the movie where it's like you could definitely get that, and then the interaction between her and the girl, of Kara and the girl, yes, she's supposed to be basically a bit of herself that Kara saw in her. She saw a little bit in herself, like, yo, you can be better, And then she starts to understand more so as to why Clark is how he is. She's like, huh, that's why he says all that stuff. Because, earlier in the movie, it was that, oh, he's like naive, he's like this, like that. But again, the action of this movie was really strong to me. However, how everything kind of went down as far as the pacing and then the timing that we decided to do flashbacks when the pacing was already slow, and when we kind of got heavy in the car in the girl in the movies interactions, the chemistry just wasn't, it just wasn't there for me as far as the two characters, as far as like the acting between the two characters. And then with that being such a focal point, and the slow pacing of this, really when we start to focus a lot on them going from this planet to this planet, and then the flashbacks, that feels out of place. Personally, to me, it felt out of place a lot to me. It just felt weird. So then when you got the action scenes, it was like, hey, we expect to fight. But the fights were really good. The action scenes were really good, but it felt like a constant on and off, on and off, on and off switch during the middle chunks of the movie. The finale, the final act, really good. Just like how I felt in the beginning of the movie, for the first act, good. Final act, really good. It was just the middle, man. The pacing, it was just messing me up. So when other things happened, it started to make me want to look at certain things with a bit more scrutiny than I personally wouldn't have otherwise. Because, we drop a dough to these two, and I had like I had some other food or not. Like I was really hyped for the movie. Like I was like, for me with superhero films, like if I'm looking at a trailer and I'm like, yo, I think this is gonna be one of the best ones yet. I'm gonna find something to like about the movie. Or that's just how I am with different movies and shows in general. So I was really trying to find things to like with it in terms of other things outside of the action, because the action definitely saved the movie for me. 4DX, with me having a super fresh experience of it still, with how the 4DX was with this movie, it was insane. It was insane, dude. Then with the 3D glasses that for the auditorium that I picked times for, it enhanced everything even more. But yeah, it's just the scenes where it's just the talking and things of that nature. Once you get to the action scenes, it's a bit of a build up that gets to it. I guess I just wasn't a fan of the build up in just the middle chunks of the movie. But when the action scenes started to cook, I started to kind of forget about the middle sections of it. And I'm like, okay, hold on, this is fire. I started to get back into that attitude with it during the ending. But yeah, man, I'm just kind of conflicted with it because the action was so good to me. But then I sit there and think to myself, if I didn't watch it to 4DX, oh my gosh, I don't know, man. I think I was able to enjoy this movie for the most part under very unique circumstances, personal circumstances, with me being fresh to the 4DX, and then also having a refresher experience with it to watch it with 3D glasses. That but you can't really knock a movie or a show that is intentionally trying to specialize in a certain type of field of what they're trying to do. You know, I just think there was a bit of repetition of the slow and uninteresting parts that I was like, okay, can we hopefully we can move on past it, but we kind of kept going back to the same thing again and again with the wash rinse repeat of the genuinely good action. But then when Car is about to seal the deal of we about to roll credits, the girl gets in the way, and it kept happening. I'm like, dude, I can't help you if you keep getting in my way. You asked for my help. You know what I mean? But yeah. So for the movie, I think because of the action, man, I gotta give it a 7 out of 10. I think I'll do 7 out of 10. I really wanted to bump it to an 8, but after a while, I kind of sat on it a little bit more. I'm like, 7 out of 10 would have to be it for me. I don't know. Because this year, was this my first SuperGirl movie? Because if Mortal Kombat doesn't count, it was. I was really hoping that this would have really kicked it off super strong. No pun intended. It just didn't go all the way like that for me personally, unfortunately. And it sucks because I don't want it to be that way for me personally. I think the Spider-Man movie is going to be pretty solid. I mean, yeah, like you better have Hulk. You better do Hulk. Correct? You know what I mean? It's been almost 10 years. Like, yeah, like there's no other choice but to go crazy for Hulk. But yeah, man, that's kind of my review of the Supergirl movie. I'm not going to edit any of this, so any of the stutters or any whatever that I was doing, this is full on raw, uncut footage here. The stream that we did recently, I know. I had some requests about posting the video version of it. I actually have to go back to kind of check how the recording was. Hopefully it wasn't nowhere near as like it as the stream was, because apparently it was genuinely unwatchable, and I got to see how unwatchable it was playing it back on the YouTube channel when it was a past broadcast. It was just glitched out. So hopefully the recording is nowhere near as bad as that. But yeah, that's about it for me, y'all. Thank you guys so much for checking out this super duper yap session, no pun intended. And yeah, see you guys on the next one. Mike out. Peace.